he's not going to be a contributor. That's evident. That by all their actions, and Nick Sirianni even verbalizes it when he starts talking about the offense. Now, he hasn't even, before AJ even got here, he would talk about Devontae and Quez and Zach first. And it's become a back burner issue with Jalen Reagor as far as being a part of this offense.
J-Mac and J-Mac. Jody McDonald, McMullen here with you on Birds 365. Again, thanks to Ian Cummings for hopping on board and breaking down to the nth degree the NFL draft over the last couple of days. Want to be able to add to that conversation. One thing we didn't touch on at the top before we touched base with Ian Cummings, John, was the Eagles trading during the draft current Eagle players. We did a lot of speculating on it prior to. Could Andre Dillard be dealt? Would anyone take Jalen Reagor off the Eagles' hands? The answer to both those questions turned out to be no. They're both still here on the Eagle roster. Jalen Reagor was none too pleased with the addition of A.J. Brown. He went I'm wiping the team off all my social media.
Yeah, how about that?
No more Twitter mentions.
Blocked me too. He blocked a bunch of people.
Did he? You? Did he block
I got
John
blocked.
McMullen?
I got blocked.
Oh, damn.
That's it. Because I think I've been pretty fair to Jalen. But generally, these things are mass blocks. But I've always advocated. I think I've done it on the show. I think Jalen's one of those guys that's got to get off social media because he's, there's a lot of toxic feedback on social media. I mean, you know that, Jody. I know that. We all know that. You got to have a thick skin, and it's times 100,000 for a professional athlete. I mean, they just get crushed on a daily basis, and some guys aren't good with it. And my advice for them is always just ignore it, get off it, don't bother with it. But it's really difficult with this generation. They grew up with it. It's part of their lives. And he's a guy in the past that has ping ponged back and forth and deleted his Twitter account, brought it back. And it's like, that should tell you something, dude. Just get off. But, he obviously wants out. And the Eagles, it's interesting because Howie said after the draft, he's part of the team. He's going to be a part. That's the plan, blah, 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 which is not true because, again, don't listen to the words, watch the actions. And, they traded for A.J. Brown. They signed Zach Pascal. Right now, at best, Jalen Reagor's the wide receiver 5 on this team. And you could argue, maybe Greg Ward can inch in front of him at some point as well. So at best, he's wide receiver 5. They've been looking for a returner and signed the kid from Utah, not drafted free agency. He was a really good returner. They did a lot of homework on Marcus Jones, so they're trying. I think he ended up going in the 3rd round. So they're trying to replace him there. There's no fit for him. It's just how he's holding out. For this pie in the sky thinking of he's going to get something of value. And, there's 2 ways this can go, Jody. Because they're not going to release him because it would cost more to release him than keep him. So they could work out a deal, trade, maybe get a conditional 6th or something of that nature for next year. Or they can, hold him hostage on the back end of the roster for another year and then move on. He's not going to be a contributor. That's evident. That by all their actions, and Nick Sirianni even verbalizes it when he starts talking about the offense. Now, he hasn't even, before AJ even got here, he would talk about Devontae and Quez and Zach first. And it's become a back burner issue with Jalen Reagor as far as being a part of this offense. They've turned the page. So now it's just, how is it going to end? Is he going to be just, um, inactive, on game days, and you just carry him on the roster, or do you move him? And the Eagles should probably just take what they can get and move on. It would help the kid. It would help them, by the way.
But here's the issue, and it's going to fall to both Harry Roseman and Nick Sirianni together. It really handicaps them to cut him. I think we can.
Yeah, they can't. Yeah, they can't cut him. I mean, you can do anything. They've proven that, but it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense. So you're going to have this unhappy / potentially malcontent on the roster who is 2 years removed from being a number 1 pick, who is wide receiver 5, correctly projected by John McMullen and everybody else. He's going to be an issue. He could potentially be an issue in the locker room. So it's going to be up to Sirianni and his wide receiver coach to make sure that they at least keep him from passing the bad vibes onto his teammates. Because, when you get a guy who's doesn't want to be there, isn't going to work. We had a couple weeks ago had our buddy BLG on, Brandon Lee Gouton, whose observation was he didn't think he went 100% hard on every single play. Now, the Eagles tell you the exact opposite, that he does work hard in practice. He's been working hard all offseason to get in good shape. I don't think BLG was making it up out of whole cloth. He sure as hell didn't make plays, so I don't break down the wide receiver tape week in, week out, so I don't know how hard he was or wasn't going. He probably looks bad in comparison to a guy like J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who really was a pretty damn good blocker as a wide receiver. Jalen Reagor didn't have the effort and or the size to be able to do blocking, and he wasn't making plays catching the football. So it's going to fall on Sirianni. Howie Roseman made the pick. Howie Roseman gave him the contract he gave him, and now he's a pretty much untradeable player. How's Sirianni going to be able to keep this kid in line?
Yeah, I've never sensed any issues from that perspective with Jalen. As far as being a bad teammate, everybody seems to like him. And I've talked about, and I get why people think, I saw the same thing with a great receiver in Randy Moss. What people would say that he would take plays off, and that was
but he was Randy Moss.
Yeah, I know.
Jalen Reagor's not Randy Moss.
No, I'm just believe me, I'm not comparing the players. I'm comparing I'm comparing. There's times that, like, I don't think Jalen Reagor dogs it. I've said that continuously on the show. I've never seen him dog it. I think he plays with tremendous uncertainty, and that creates the perception to some outside the building that he dogs it. I've never heard he dogs it from Aaron Moorhead or even, people off the record, where they tell the truth. I've never heard that criticism. He keeps himself in great shape. He plays with tremendous uncertainty because he lacks confidence, and he lacks confidence because he hasn't performed well. And from my perspective, he's shot as a player in this town, and he needs a new start somewhere else. And I think everybody knows that. I think certainly Jalen knows it. Certainly his dad knows it. The Eagles know it. They don't even talk about him. So now it becomes this, how he's being a little bit stubborn, I think. And I don't even know if he can get a 6th or 7th round pick, but I think you should settle for a 6th or 7th round pick and stop asking for a day 2 pick, which is ludicrous. And, just say, okay, we made a mistake on this one. It happens all the time. Now, it's more amplified, I think, in Philadelphia because it's such a passionate football city. But you can go to every team in this league, Jody, and go down the list of first-round picks, and you won't go down very far until you find a first-round pick that didn't do well. It happens in every city, literally. I just called Baltimore the best the smartest team in the NFL, and I believe they are. I'll do it in the break and look at their last. I won't have to look long. I'll say that because everybody misses on first round picks. You know, the longer you pretend you haven't missed, maybe that's the wrong word, but you get what I'm pointing out. You know, it doesn't help you. It doesn't help the kid. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help anybody. I think the Eagles should turn the page. And ultimately, I think they will. We'll see what they're able to get. I think somebody will give them, as I said, a 6th round, 7th round pick at some point, especially when injuries. Maybe it comes in August, but you probably don't even want him here for mini camp and he's here, by the way, working out as he usually is, because he is going to be miserable. But I've never heard anybody call him a bad teammate. I really haven't. I don't believe any of that stuff. I think he's. I'm not defending his play at all. He plays with no confidence. He's completely shot. He needs out of this city. But I don't think he's going to be that guy that creates a ruckus, nor does he have the power to create a ruckus, to be honest. But the only reason I brought up Randy Moss is because, you know, even when he was the best receiver in football, people would say he takes off plays. And I've told you this, Jody. I've never seen anybody work harder behind the scenes. I mean, people act like he's this natural freak and he came out of the womb like that. No, he worked his ass off. Never missed a practice until I think his 6th season when he tore his hamstring. And by the way, he tore his hamstring and he played that week. And he played that week as a decoy. But he had this reputation because of his personality that he didn't work hard. And you would see, you know, there would be a play on the other side of the field. And every receiver, when the play's going the other way, you know, they'll run out a couple steps and they'll put the one camera on. Oh, he's not running a route. Play's going to the other side of the field. He runs 60 go routes a game. Yeah, he's taking a little breather. You know, it's in my estimation, it's a lack of understanding. It would, and that's why I brought up him. There was a lack of understanding how Randy went about his business. And I think the same thing exists with Jalen Reagor.
And while I agree with you that there is a difference between not giving 100% effort, and even a guy like Randy Moss would do on an occasional play, and people would make a bigger deal of it than needed be. I get that. And not having the confidence to be able to go out, to be a little mentally lost. Not going 100% is not going 100%. If it's a preconceived notion that you're not going to give the effort, that's certainly worse. Not being able to have the confidence as a 1st round draft pick in your 2nd year in the league that you can't run a route and or get up, that's not good too. It's a different reason, but it's, if you're not going 100% for 2 different reasons, still not going 100%. And that's not good for a guy that you spent a 1st round draft pick.
Hey, real quick before we got to get to break, and then Damo, the Saints are expected to sign Honey Badger. So cross that one off the list too.
Go Blankenship is what they
Go read Blankenship.
Epsy, baby. Epsy to the rescue. We shall see. All right, as John just mentioned, we are guest number 2 bound. Our buddy Paul Domwich from Philly Mag and the 33rd Team going to join us next here on Birds 365.